My guest on today's show is known as a man of 1,000 voices. Please welcome my friend, singer-impressionist Paul Boland.
Hello. Bruce, good to see you. How are you?
Thanks so much for being on the show.
Oh, it's my pleasure being here. I have to tell you something, Bruce. I've enjoyed this show so much. I've been watching all the shows. And the thing that's amazing about this now being here in person is that when you watch it at home, it seems like a very small studio.
Right.
But you get here and it goes on forever. I wish they could turn the cameras around because I can't.
There is probably at least 12 or 14 more inches of studio than you actually see on camera.
And I'm telling you, and security, Barney Fife was at the door when I was coming in.
Was he?
And he's going, look, here at the Bruce Gold Show, we have 2 rules. Rule number 1, obey all rules. And rule number 2, don't look Bruce in the eye.
Wow. Seems like a lot of women I go out with have heard that not looking them in the eye rule. Well done.
Well, it's good to see you. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. I'm so delighted you came on the show. A lot of people do funny voices. I used to do them just to annoy my sister, but you make voices funny and you sing and you do it so well. You've traveled all over the world.
Thanks, Bruce.
So when did you first realize that you could imitate other people's voices?
It was an odd thing because I was a huge fan of, and still am a huge fan of Rich Little's when I was a kid. But when I was a kid, I was one of those kids. I had glasses at 4 years old. I had bad eyesight from the womb. But so I had similar glasses to Lyndon Baines Johnson, the president at the time. Right. And for some reason, one day I put the glasses down at the edge of my nose. I think I was about 8 years old. And it started doing My Fellow Americans, and I, as an 8-year-old, started doing Lyndon Johnson, and that was the first one I did. And then I got reaction from it, so I think that was the thing. Is wow,
anything that gets a kid attention,
exactly.
repeat it.
And that's that was the thing.
I know you do like 1,000 voices, and our producer Elizabeth told me that you have been working on an impression of a lesser-known TV host, me. You do?
Well, I have, and this is it's really taken a lot of time, and it's a nuanced thing. It's subtle. It's a subtle, nuanced little thing. Okay. So it would be like, hello, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Bruce Gold. My next guest.
I do not sound like that.
You're right, Bruce, you don't.
I have the kind of laugh that if I go see a movie and it's funny, my laugh is very loud, and other people in the theater will turn around like, who the heck, who's got the megaphone in the theater? So,
it's why we love you. That's why we love Bruce Gold.
Do some other impressions for us.
I certainly can. Well, I'm a singing impressionist by trade, so I do a lot of singers, but I know that I was told the budget on the show.
Well, there's a little thing called copyright issues.
That's right. We apparently didn't have the budget, so they said you would give me a song. Did you have some sort of?
So we got a royalty-free song, as they're called, public domain.
Oh, great.
So if you wouldn't mind doing Old MacDonald.
Old MacDonald. Well, that's perfect, because I think if the audience imagines whatever singer I'm doing, that I'm actually doing their real song, but I'm singing Old MacDonald, I think we'll be fine. Like Neil Diamond. Like if you're doing Neil Diamond,
of course,
doing Old MacDonald, so it'd be, Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, and on this farm there was a little girl named Caroline, E-I-E-I-O, with a so good here and a so good there, here so good, there so good, everywhere so good.
So good! Bravo!
That's right.
Well done. Anybody else on the farm that we?
Well, actually, there was somebody else on the farm. It was a frog, Bruce. There was a frog on the farm, and I brought him with me here, if you don't mind. It's my hi. I'll put him in front of you so you don't see me. Hi, Bruce. I'm Kermit the Frog, and of course my favorite song that was written by Paul Williams and very famous, recorded around the world, won Oscars, and everything. So it's of course called Old MacDonald. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. And on this farm he had a frog, E-I-E-I-O. Ribbit, ribbit, ribbit here, and a ribbit, ribbit there. Here a ribbit, there a ribbit, everywhere a ribbit, ribbit! Ladies and gentlemen,
bravo! Well done.
Thank you, Bruce.
You've actually performed with Paul Williams, who wrote the Rainbow Connection song, right?
I did. It was amazing. It was about 2 years ago. Let me put Kermit back on. It was 2 years ago, and my musical director Richard Allen, who is a good friend of yours, had called me and said we're doing a tribute to Paul Williams. It was a night in the theater in La Mirada, and he said we're going to do something different. We want you to do your Kermit, but we're not going to tell Paul you're going to be there. So the end of the show, they had a couch set up, Paul Williams sitting there, and a bunch of other stars, Rex Smith and Morgan Brittany, and Shirley Jones and different people. And Kermit pops up behind the couch, and I start singing Rainbow Connection to Paul Williams.
Wow.
And of course, I'm not able to see it because I'm the puppeteer behind the couch. When I watch the video afterwards, he's singing. Paul Williams is singing with my Kermit.
That was fantastic.
I teared up. I said, "Oh, this is why we do this. This is
so
makes
good.
your heart sing." So
good.
so it was so good. Neil Diamond.
So good. And actually, you had a chance to meet an icon, a Vegas icon.
Yes.
I'll let you tell the story.
Well, it's an interesting story. A lot of people would know him as Mr. Las Vegas.
Of course.
I call him Wayne. But Wayne,
your pal Wayne.
Yeah. The way I met Wayne Newton was interesting because many years ago I was getting married, and I was having my bachelor party in Las Vegas.
Right.
So my buddy Mike Berger, another friend of ours, who said, "Hey, wouldn't it be fun if the 20 guys on the bachelor party goes to see the Wayne Newton show?" So here we are, 20 guys ringside at Wayne's show, and everybody, it's all women. Everybody else is women, and us 20 guys. So of course Wayne thought this was interesting and hilarious, and so we had a back and forth throughout the whole show.
Wow.
Well, what happens is he's such a nice guy that he asked, well, why we were there, and it's a bachelor party. He said, where are you getting married? I said, we're getting married on Saturday. We're going to Hawaii on our honeymoon. And the day of our wedding, because he had gotten my address, he sent a Hawaiian floral arrangement.
Wow.
And said, I wish you everything I wish myself, Wayne Newton. And it kind of sparked a friendship after that. And we met again over the years. Yeah. And then he put me in a show in Las Vegas. Over the fact, I think because when we hung out together, I can do a singing Wayne Newton, but it wasn't my singing Wayne Newton, it was my talking Wayne Newton. And I was fascinated by his A&E biography of Wayne Newton. I just became obsessed with it. So I would sit there and do quotes from the thing where I go, Joe, I told Johnny Carson, the jokes are going to stop, and they're going to stop now. and he'd look at me and go, how do you how do you know the words? And I said, that's how I get voices down. I watch things over and over again. So But he was mesmerized with the fact that I could just do Joe anyway. Joe Bruce, tell me anything. Bruce Gold. We're on the Bruce Gold show now.
Hey, you know what? Maybe you can fulfill a bucket list thing for me. I always wanted to be on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, so maybe I could have Johnny Carson welcome me on the show.
I could do that, Bruce. Ladies and gentlemen, coming up on our show. He's a marvelous comedian, fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Bruce Gold. Let's hear it for
okay. I'm glad this is being recorded.
Well,
I think that's going to be my new answering machine method. That was awesome.
And it's funny how things happen because you and I went to, not to Johnny's last week, but you and I went to a taping of Jay Leno's last week.
That's right.
And I saw the picture the other day, and I said, well, how fortuitous. That was a couple of years ago, and now look where you are. Isn't that amazing? Because you remember we took pictures with you sitting behind Jay's desk.
And we had a friend who worked on the Tonight Show, which is the beauty of being in show business in LA. You know people who know people, and we got to go to the Tonight Show, a group of us, and then afterwards, Jay was so kind, one of the kindest people I've ever met.
Yeah.
I said, can we take some pictures on the set? And he goes, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Do you remember what he said to us though?
Sit at the
Because it's four guys. The four buddies go to see him, and as he walks out, he said, "This looks like the oldest boy band in history." But anyway, you were saying.
I got to stand where he stands. I got to sit at the desk, so it was a really big thrill.
So you really were all about Eve. You were that character. He thought you were nice, and you're sitting there going, all this is going to be mine.
Little did he know this microphone would one day be here.
And oddly enough, you have a bigger studio, which is ironic.
It's amazing.
It's incredible.
We drove my car in here yesterday and waxed it in the shade. That's how big. We're on the second floor. It wasn't an issue.
Yeah. Boy, that was a climb to get up there. Wow.
Right. Okay. So, all right. I'm going to reach back for a memory for you. I did my research. I know you well, but I did not know this until I checked in to things. You did a thing called an Elvis-gram.
I did. It's interesting. Many years ago, I had always done a lot of voices, but when in the '80s, when it was all the hubbub of is Elvis alive and his 10th anniversary for him, and it became a thing. And I worked at a restaurant in Beverly Hills called Ed DeBevick's, which was a '50s diner,
Right.
where I actually did other characters. As a waiter, I was Reverend Jim from Taxi.
Oh, right.
So I was Iggy. So I'd go, you want a burger? And you do that for 8 hours, you get pretty good at it. But so my manager had said, we're going to do an Elvis anniversary thing. Can you do Elvis? And I said, I'll put something together. So I put this thing together, and it kind of spiraled away from me because I then started being hired as an Elvis, dress up Elvis. And the weirdest one I ever had was, and I'm talking Vegas, spangly jumpsuit Elvis with the mutton chops and the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
About noon on a Tuesday afternoon, walking up to this back porch. I was hired as a birthday gram for this lady. It was her 60th birthday, and I knock on the door, and she opens the door, and hair in curlers, cigarette hanging out of her mouth, got the laundry in here, and I start singing Can't Help Falling Apart. As smoke is billowing in my face. And so that was a long ride home. So as I'm in my Elvis outfit driving down the 405 going, I gotta rethink this. But
memorable occasion that must have been.
But doing that Elvis thing launched so many different things, because when I did it at the restaurant, I of course I got to the point where I played Elvis, where Elvis gets bored with doing Elvis, so he starts doing other people, and that became
Elvis as other people.
Yeah, and that became my way bit. That's how I created that. And so a producer, as the old Hollywood stories go, one day a producer, Jay Wolpert, saw me do the bit, and he was producing a new show for ABC called Into the Night with Rick Dees, and he said, I'm doing the pilot. Right. I think that would be great on the show as sort of a weird, different thing. So I did the pilot. I actually did 2 pilots with him, and then I was the first act on the first show, which, the phone started ringing after that. I got calls from Miami Heat, said, you want to do the halftime show in different theaters around the country. And,
fantastic.
And that's what I kind of focused on. Well, okay, I'll be an impressionist. I think that's going to be the path. So
wow. It's worked out super well for you.
It has.
We'll be back with more of my guest, Paul Boland, right after this.
How can you capture these beautiful moments? How can you always hold on to these memories? This year, capture your beautiful life moments. Ashland Bree Photography. Book your shoot today.
Hey, welcome back to the Bruce Gold Show. You actually loaned your voice to another television show, very popular daytime television show.
I did, and I want it back.
The Price is Right.
I did, yeah. That was another surreal thing, because I was the announcer on the last version of Match Game with Michael Berger. Right. And the same company that produced Price is Right. So after we had done our run, all of a sudden the phone rang and said, can you come down to see The Price is Right? They didn't even tell me why. Said, we're taping today. So I went down, and this was during the time on The Price is Right when Rod Roddy was ill, and they were filling in people for him. So I went down, they said, watch a show, you'll meet Bob afterwards. And I still don't know why I'm there. And so after it was done, I watched the show, it was great, and I went back to meet Bob Barker in his dressing room. And the first thing he says was, hey, Paul, nice to meet you. I understand you're going to be with us next week. And that's what I did. That was my introduction. I said, I am? And he said, yeah. And he handed me 5 scripts for the next week.
Wow.
And the next week I spent working with Bob Barker. And I could not believe it.
Wow.
And the thing that the inside stuff of Price is Right that I like to tell people is that as Bob would tell me, he said, it's the toughest announcer job in the business. 25 pages of script just for the announcer for one show. And you have to do it live. It's live to tape, but you really try to make as few mistakes as you can. And that's it. After you do a few of them, your brain starts, what car am I talking about?
Yeah,
I was saying things like, no wonder, I'm so glad I used Preparation H. It was things like that. I thought, I can't believe I'm saying these things.
Well, you're being paid.
Or, yeah,
So-
exactly.
yeah,
Or
right.
Selsun Blue. Don't wear black without the blue. Selsun Blue.
So convincing. Well, I think we have to hear the famous phrase then.
Well, and that was the most fun because you could see the anticipation because everyone in that audience is thinking, is it going to be me? And so being the guy to be able to say, Bruce Gold, come on down. You're the next contestant on The Price is Right.
It's like I'm there. All right, speaking of television shows, I know that you've performed in front of the camera and also behind the camera, and
Yes.
you're a producer and an editor and a host of
thanks, yeah.
on a channel that you created with your wife called the Anglophile
The
channel,
Anglophile
which of
channel.
course is for people who love things all things British. It
British.
started as a small idea, and it's become an amazing thing now. Tell us about that.
Well, it's you never know what's going to happen with things, and you're right. But we kind of said we were looking for something fun to do, and the internet now, especially with YouTube, and we're offering things for avenues for you to have be creative. So we created the Anglophile channel, and we thought, well, we'll do this, and maybe we'll do stories about Anglophiles, and that's what we did, reality shows about them. And where it took us was we started doing recap shows of Downton Abbey.
Right.
And it started becoming popular, but the thing that we didn't expect was that Julian Fellows, the creator of the show, became a fan of ours.
Right.
And we all of a sudden, we'd see him in LA, and he was doing shout outs on, for me on camera saying, you have to watch the Anglophile channel. And that's what kind of got people noticing us.
Yeah.
And now we do a show on the show Poldark, which is a BBC, PBS show, popular show. And they told us after we did our first season that when they edit their show, they stop. If we upload our most recent episode, they stop and they watch our episode. We couldn't even fathom that.
Fantastic.
And so they invited us to the set. My wife and daughter and our co-host Elise were all put into scenes. They were it's a bonnet drama, so they're all put in costumes. And I got to shoot all the behind the scenes, and we did interviews with the cast. And this was all shot over in Bristol, England. And I think this just came from, hey, let's create a channel.
Yeah,
You know?
right.
But I don't take it too seriously, Bruce, because let me see. We do it for the love.
That's right. It's for the love. It's not for the accolades. It's for the
not.
love. It's for the love and the Los Angeles Press Association.
It's the
is it?
Los Angeles Press Club, very prestigious here in Los Angeles.
Yes,
Bruce.
an award winner here. And actually, we had our friend Kelly Monteith on,
Yes.
and you and he do a show together.
We do, called Britflix with
right.
Kelly, Paul, and Chuck.
Right.
And Chuck is $2 Chuck that you get at
Right,
Trader
right.
Joe's. And we just thought it was funny because we do it anyways, have a glass of wine and discuss British films. And we talk a lot about the classic Ealing comedies and Alec Guinness movies and all that. And we would never have expected this.
Yes.
When I called Kelly and I said, we've been nominated.
Right.
We were up against the Hollywood Reporter, Variety, not ET, but like Entertainment Weekly, things
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
And Britflix on
Amazing.
the Anglophile channel.
Let that be a lesson to you. If you have an idea, don't just think about it, do
absolutely.
it. And this is not the only one that Paul has gotten. And I know actually it's kind of a family thing because you
Right.
have a very talented daughter, Juliet.
Juliet,
And
yes.
And she has her own show.
Yeah,
as well.
by the way, she has 2 of these.
She has 2.
She has
Wow.
2. She's the youngest winner in their history.
How old is she?
She was 13 when she won the first one. She's 16 now, and
Amazing.
she's won 2. But she's a performer. She loves musical theater and all that, and she loves Doctor Who, a big British show. So she created her own show. I said, well, I'll shoot it and edit it for you, but she created her own show, and we went to Wales and shot on set there, and she's amazing to me. I can't get.
yeah.
When I was 13, I couldn't put 2 words together.
Yeah, she's so amazing. She's lovely and she's poised, and she gets to interview these major celebrities at these events. And I know as a kid I would just be starstruck. But
Yeah, no, she's interviewed, especially recently. She's interviewed Kenneth Branagh, Dick Van Dyke, John Lithgow, Claire Foy from The Crown.
Right.
This past weekend, she interviewing several. I stare.
So,
at
so a lot of shows come from the Bolins. You have the Anglophile channel, you have Paul's show and Juliet's show, and you'll find them all on YouTube. Right?
We're on YouTube, we're on Roku, we're on Amazon Fire TV, and again, it's one of those things where I didn't know I'd have the skills to do this, but I learned how to build an app and put it up.
Awesome. And let me tell people how they can find out about you. Of course, you'll find him on Facebook at Paul Boland Entertainer, and then look for theanglophilechanel.com.
.com, yes, yeah.
Right? And of course, you can always look for them on YouTube. And It's been fantastic having you
gosh,
on the
Bruce,
show,
this is
and I
good.
think there's only one way to go out, and that's with my good pal Ed McMahon.
It's Ed Bruce Gold McMahon. Yes, Bruce. Well, you know what I was going to tell you, because you'd asked me before about what's the toughest voice to do, and the toughest voice still for me to this day is Louis Armstrong.
Yeah.
And so I thought maybe we would close with his most famous song that everyone will know and all that. But I would be remiss if you can also see me on a Royal Caribbean cruise ship. I would like to tell them I've worked for them for many years, as you have.
And let me just say that, in a time when, Vegas has become these mega productions and the club circuit isn't what it was many years ago, cruise ships, on a cruise ship, the theater on a cruise ship is often much more technically advanced than the theaters we have on land, because they spare no expense and they bring the best entertainment. And I know you've been working for them for years, which is a testament to how great your show is.
Oh, thank you. And to you as well. As usual.
I work there occasionally.
Pull out
your
your
award. Oh, we have an opening. Anyway,
It's okay. I made that in the garage. You can have one. I've got I have a bunch in the car.
No, but the most difficult voice.
Most difficult voice, Louis Armstrong. So of course I would like to do Louis' most famous song that everybody knows.
Right.
Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, and on this farm he had a chick, grieviest chick I know, with a little wiggle here and a little wiggle there. Man, that chick had wiggles to spare. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, yes.
If we had a bigger studio, I would give you a standing ovation, honestly. That was fantastic. What a delight it has been to have Paul, and thank you for bringing all your many talented celebrity friends with you by way of your voice. And look for Paul, as I said, on the YouTube shows, on the Anglophile channel, on the Royal Caribbean shows, and I'll look for you at a dinner sometime soon with Marlise. We'll get together.
We'll do that.
Okay. Hey, thanks so much, and thank you for tuning in to the Bruce Gold Show. We've had a great time. I hope you have too. We'll see you next time. Thank you. Thank you so much. I called him up. He came right down to the studio. I said, I'm doing a show. And he's
Out of my way.
Is there a camera and a spotlight? I'm there.
Are people going to see this?
Yeah, this will air.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't
know.
know that.